Welcome back to Gym Challenge Sundays here at Psycho Turtle with Pokemon Labs. A great help for hosting these, and of course thanks to Pow Gaming for hosting our stream. Now, because I've been messing up the team sheet so much, they gave me 2 Ryans, so that way I just look for Ryan in the stack and I'll find it. No, but no, it's Ryan Haig versus Ryan Tenorio. Now, Ryan Tenorio has been on a bit earlier. We saw him with that Gengar. We were talking about the taunt on Gengar and how it stops Trick Room, but this is a different team that he was facing now. Not really Trick Room, it is Rain instead with Pelipper, Palafin. You know, we're seeing that a lot. Palafin has so many options. You've got the offensive Life Orb, voice items on it, see some Mystic Water, that's the most common, I'd say. Okay. But also Leftovers. We saw Leftovers hit top cut a little while ago, so overall really fun Pokemon. Lots of different options, different moves, close combat, haze, obviously Jet Punch being the most common. What do you have to say? You think you could take a Rain team, can't you? You're electric type. No, there's no thoughts in this head, just chicken nugs. You know. But our Ryans are getting set up here, and they are about to start their team, so here we go. Get right into it. But as they are, so I'll give you a little recap of who's who. So Ryan Haig, and here we go, it's popping up on stream now. So Ryan Haig is going to on your left, and carrying Dragonite, Pelipper, Amoonguss, Palafin, Baxcalibur, and Iron Hands. While Ryan Tenorio is using Amoonguss, Roaring Moon, Iron Bundle, Arcanine, and Gengar. So we were talking about the Gengar earlier. It's got Taunt, it's got Haze. It's a really good support Pokemon, as well as some really nice stab attacks here. But I think here, do you bring in Rain? I don't know. This is a really tough team for Rain here, kind of because you do have a few threats. First off, Iron Hands, really bulky, lives the Palafin hits, lives the Pelipper hits, can knock both of them out with Wild Charge, and he recovers some health with Drain Punch. You also have Iron Bundle, which Freeze Dry will knock out Pelipper if that thing isn't Focus Sash, but so it will live it, but still, it's a huge threat. Same good thing goes for Palafin. It is going to take some heavy damage onto Iron Bundle. We know this Palafin only has water attacks, Jet Punch, and Crash, so Iron Bundle not only resisting that, but also having a solid defense stat, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. So I think here, if you are Ryan Haig, you're going to want to just avoid that entirely and just bring out your other 4, especially because your other 4 do pretty solid. The Baxcalibur and Iron Hands, the Dragonite combo is just so good on so many options. So like when you look on the other side, you have a lot of ways to beat the opposing Pokemon, right? Not to mention that this Dragonite is not Extreme Speed Dragonite. It actually is Dragon Dance Dragonite, which is our first Dragon Dance Dragonite of this tournament on stream. It's kind of flying, so that's going to beat. But we're going to go ahead and see Ryan Tenorio here lead with Roaring Moon and Iron Hands. Well, Iron Hands on the other side with Ryan Haig, but it's going to Excalibur for their dragon, and the attack stat is going to be raised on Ryan Tenorio's Roaring Moon. That's hard to say, but it is going to boost because of the Proto Sense energy combo. Both potential fake outs here because of the Iron Hands, and both there's pretty much similar sets here, although one does have. They both are pretty much the exact same set, with the exception of Brick Break and Volt Switch, with Ryan Haig having Volt Switch, Ryan Tenorio having Brick Break. So there is more flexibility here if you're Ryan Haig to get out of there right away, expecting their potential fake out. I'm expecting maybe what I call cross fake out, where it's like an X, right? The Iron Hands will go to the whatever dragon is on the other side, right? And we are going to see the fake out go onto the Ryan Tenorio's the right side is Iron Hands, and we're gonna see an attack go onto the Roaring Moon, but it's gonna protect him, not gonna happen. So next, this turn is kind of like, now that the fake out's out of play, you really have to worry. I think if you're Ryan Tenorio, you gotta really worry about that Excalibur, because it is able to hit you pretty heavily, and you don't really have much to do it. Even if you Terra, you're gonna take some hefty icicle speed, a hefty icicle speed. And that's going to do quite a bit of damage. Not to mention, Ice Shard could pick up any remaining KO there is. But the thing is, if you're Ryan Haig, you also have to worry about the Iron Hands, right? You are weak to fighting, it'll recover from Drain Punch, and then even if you can attack, its physical defense is so bulky, you're not going down to that. Same thing with Ryan Tenorio here. You can go for a Drain Punch on or Ryan Haig could go for a Drain Punch onto your Roaring Moon. So we are going to see Baxcalibur go ahead and start off with the Terra here. Terra to Poison. That removes that fighting weakness we were talking about. Very smart there. So now much less scary in that regard, because you just don't have to worry about that. We're going to see Tailwind for Ryan and Tenorio here, so that's going to make the hit on his side much faster. Drain Punch not going to do a ton at all, thanks to that Poison Terra. But yeah, I think here is almost going to recover fully that Iron Hands as well. But that Tailwind is really important. This Icicle Spear, yeah, look at that. It doesn't, it's got loaded dice. There's no way that's living. So that is now a fainted Roaring Move, which isn't necessarily a terrible position. Because if you're Ryan Tenorio, you're like, okay, I got rid of the Roaring Move, that's fine. But now let's handle the Iron Hand, right? Volt Switch is going to preserve Ryan Haig's Iron Hands, but that's actually kind of nice if you're Ryan Tenorio. Like, okay, now I get a preview of what's coming out first, so I can prep for it in advance. And we're going to go ahead and see that Amoonguss come on out. So you have a few options, right? Roaring Moon obviously was the big counter, but there's a couple others that can handle it well. You have Arcanine, right? So that's a good option as well. You have Gengar with Taunt, also solid. And we are going to go ahead and see that opposing Amoonguss, so that way you can't get scored. You know, that's a smart strat. But you do have to watch out for the Icicle Spear on that Excalibur, because it's still going to be able to threaten that Amoonguss pretty heavily. It's interesting here is there's not a ton of like Poison just doesn't. It's such a great type. It's only like the two types, right? Psychic and Ground. Neither of which Ryan Tenorio really has on his team. It's going to be really tough to be able to chip that Excalibur, because Excalibur's defense stats are pretty solid as well. It's not necessarily really fragile. What makes it fragile is dice tap. So Iron Hand's going to swap on out, going to preserve, possibly bring out Fago again, and there's that Iron Bundle. I think that is going to be probably the main attacker on this team besides the Iron Hands, and Iron Hands can't really touch Excalibur. Spore going to come out, not going to connect with that Excalibur because it does protect, and we're going to see the opposing Spore, but it goes on to that Amoonguss slot. So no Spores here. I think the expectation was that the Amoonguss was going to switch. Maybe it was like a bluff or something, but nothing really happened in that one. It was kind of a solid exchange. Yeah. Now, the thing is, if you're Ryan Tenorio, you really have to go for that Spore Excalibur. There's no other way you can really do it. I think you kind of, and now the good news is Excalibur protected, so like you're gonna have to put that pressure on. Freeze Dry coming out first onto that Amoonguss on Ryan Haig's side. It's going to do around 75%. And proc that berry, that's just a citrus berry. So another Freeze Dry will KO. However, that Spore is very much in. I think we may see a combo of Spores here, except that critical hit from Icicle Spear may have mattered. No, there's that berry. Yeah, that critical hit may have been the deciding factor here. We're going to see at least 2 more hits. One more. That's, oh, I think it's gonna be enough. It hit the 5th one anyway, so it didn't really matter. If that would have been an insane save if that Amoonguss lived with just 1 HP. But yeah, now if you're Ryan Haig, you're in a really smooth position. The Spore is gonna come out. That Iron Bundle is not gonna be able to do much to you. If you Terra your Iron Hands to grass, if you see the opposing on the right side, if you see that Hands Terra to grass, you can't Spore it, but you now have the Icicle Spear weakness. So you have, if you're Ryan Tenorio, you have to sacrifice. What do? Do we go for the potential get rid of the Amoonguss, right? Try and get, so I don't get Spored, or do I go and fake out of Excalibur and hope that I'm able to, like, you know, stop it from killing? Well, I don't want to like stop it from where if that Icicle Spear connects, it is not going to be nice if you Terra to grass. So you kind of have to play it right there. I think the best bet is to fake out and just kind of stall out the sleep turns. You know, there's not much more you can do here. We are going to see a Terra. I'm imagining that's going to be the Iron Hands. And yeah, so I think right now the call here is to just fake out on Excalibur. Make sure that the Excalibur just doesn't get to do much. I'm not going to fake out on the Amoonguss here. I just feel like Excalibur is going to go for that Icicle Spear now and get a free KO here on Iron Hands. So now we're going to see Glaive Rush actually go connect with that Iron Bundle and pick up that knockout. This game's going to Ryan Haig. I don't see it really going. I think this is pretty much it. The Amoonguss flinch didn't necessarily matter. The Tailwind didn't really matter in play there. Yeah, at this point you just click Icicle Spear and it's pretty much over. It will need to hit 5 turns, I believe, but even if not, you still have so many builds around in the back that can knock out. and it does hit the 5th time, so Ryan Haig's going to take game 1. I think, yeah, now if you're Ryan Tenorio, you're like, how do I beat Max Caliber? That's tough, because Terra Poison is so good against my team, right? So like if I'm Ryan Tenorio, I'm like, okay, that thing is going to destroy me. I don't have much to knock it out. Can't get burned from Arcanine. I don't. If it Terra's Poison, then there goes the fighting weaknesses, and now you're like, I don't have ground or psychic, so how do I handle or play around that? I personally think I were Ryan Tenorio, I would not bring in the Roaring Moon. I think I would save that for the back, because we'll most likely outspeed Max Caliber, and yeah, I think once that happens, like, right, if you can just get that Max Caliber with a Roaring Moon, because Roaring Moon is photosynthesis attack, right? So if it's photosynthesis attack, it means it's going to be able to do massive damage on the Max Caliber no matter what. So you partner it with something like Iron Bundle, where it, either way, like it can freeze dry it, right? You can go into Gengar too, just cripple it a little bit to where a Acrobatics or Throat Chop, depending on which one you want to go for, can knock out with, and I mean, that's what you want, right? So I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lead switch from Ryan here. I think Ryan Haig kind of had the right lead. So you just go with Max Caliber Iron Hands. It does so much, and there's not much that can stop it. Because then once Max Caliber gets those Icicle Spears out, it just is so hard to beat, you know. And then you also have the Glaive Rush, right? And the Glaive Rush handles Iron Bundle, as we saw, which it's just a massive amount of damage. So I think here, yeah, I don't really know what the best bet would be here for, you know, I think. Yeah, that's actually quite a smart here I've ever seen from Ryan Haig. I think here, not a bad choice at all. The only thing you gotta really worry about is the Iron Hand, and the Iron Bundle. The other's pretty solid pick. The only thing is, like, half the team will resist water moves, and that is the only type of move you have. So I don't know if that's gonna something. Intention 2 Palafen's strong enough where you can kind of negate weak. Will do solid damage. Like I said, that chip damage that is really important. That is important to get taken care of, and by having Jet Punch, you can make use of Palafen to get the chip damage off. What's also smart, because when you look here, like, because Max Caliber, I mean, can knock out quite a bit, right? But sometimes with Pokemon like Iron Hands that are bulkier, or Gengar, which most missing. Gengar's not necessarily that bulky. You'll probably go down to Icicle Spear, but or like a Moongus, right, where we saw it, where as it got chipped, it was able to go down to an Icicle Spear. I think that's what Palafen's role is going to be here, is to just kind of spam Jet Punch, so Max Caliber can't just sweep the rest of the match here. But here we go. Let's get into it. I think if I remember, yeah, I would not bring on Ryan Tenorio. Iron Hands Arcanine coming out, yeah. So the Seed Roaring Moon in the back now. I think that was a really wise call. And Palafin, which we had talked about, and that Max Caliber. We are going to see Intimidate, which were really nice right away, because we were talking about how Icicle Spear just kind of did amazing in the last one. I think that getting that Intimidate off is really, really good. I wouldn't even be surprised to see, which I think we're about to see through a double switch here, right, Haig, because that way you negate Max Caliber, right? And Max Caliber Palafin is just, that combo can pretty much handle whatever. It's a really good combo, because Icicle Spear plus Jet Punch, right? Question is, are we going to stack on Max Caliber? But I think here, if you're Arcanine, I think there's a couple good options. You know, the best one is to just switch. I think Arcanine, you have like a Moongus on the field or something, kind of solid to go into that Amoongus, especially if it ends up tearing water, because that would then resist those Icicle Spears that you're going to get from Max Caliber, right? So I'm going to be smart. Yeah, there's the Arcanine switch. There's a couple other bundles a solid pick as well. I just would not go to, I was going to say, I haven't gone to Roaring Moon yet. You could, yeah, see, the hard part here is you could, with Roaring Moon, it's solid. And I think we're going to see here that, here's the Terra, right? But I think with Roaring Moon, speed control is key, right? And do have a really solid position. You can now hit the Max Caliber. Great. But now that Palaver is going to get Tailwind. So I think it was a smart idea to go into Roaring Moon, but Palaver's not going to stay. But Icicle Spear not going to do it. I I think now, just because you were able to cripple that Excalibur and just with the Intimidate, it really shows how much that attack stat is valued. Because take a look at how much I did on that Iron Unit. It did not do a ton. The Wild Charge was a really nice call there onto Pelipper. Expected that switch into Pelipper. Still a better position, but the hard part is here, either this Roaring Moon is going to get pretty heavily crippled, I imagine, by an Icicle Spear, or you hit that Excalibur, right? And then they have their Tailwind, Brian Haig. So I think right now, like for me, what I would do, it's a tough one. You know, I think cannot really rely on Palafin in this matchup, right? Because we saw Roaring Moon, right? It's fragile enough, right? The good news is Arcanine, weak to water, Iron Hands is the scary one. It could tear it to grass, and that would be disastrous. We're going to see the Tailwind there from Roaring Moon. Wants to match the Tailwind. You kind of have to sacrifice your Roaring. I mean, that or just hope that this Icicle Spear is not going to do enough. I think it would. That Intimidate may just be enough. Oh, it's going to be a roll. It's going to be a roll. Oh my goodness. That Roaring Moon living with the slightest of HP. That is like at least 2 HP. That Intimidate from Arcanine just absolutely saved Ryan Tenorio's game right there, because that Roaring Moon going down would have been disastrous, because then you could just yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, you have obviously you have Palafin, but the good news, but then like Excalibur could just do so much, and once it switches out into, you still have another Pokemon in the back, which could be potentially the Dragonite, which can Dragon Dance, and it's Terraform. Like after that, like you can just go for so much. So by keeping this Roaring Moon in, you now have so much extra pressure that I think Ryan Tenorio still could have won, depending on what the Pokemon was. But because the Iron Hand switch out, yeah, don't blame that at all. You get the out boost. Bringing Arcanine in is going to intimidate not only Excalibur but also Palafin. But yeah, I think Ryan Tenorio, like I said, Ryan Tenorio could still have won without that Roaring Moon, but keeping it in is so nice, because now you have a really strong kind of nuke, right? You can go for a throat chop onto whatever. Jet Punch is going to get rid of that Arcanine, though. The Intimidate helped, but not enough to keep the Arcanine out of play here. And Excalibur is going to go for the Icicle Spear, but it's not going to be enough. The hard part here, though, you got to keep in mind, is Ice Shard, right? If there's the Ice Shard, now you're pretty clear to Ice Shard if you're Ryan Haig. I think in that last one you were more, I would have just, I don't know, I feel like attacking would have been the better option. The Protector was smart to kind of scout out what they were going to do, but when you have priority now on Ryan Haig's side, like, that is just, that's the tough part. And that's, I think, why Iron Hands kind of came in, swapped out, and that's why the Protect worked. Because now you have Fake Out, right? You can prevent the Ice Shard from going, and I think that's what the plan was. But now Palafin has Jet Punch, right? So you have a couple potential options. And you are intimidated, so I think it was a wise play, and I still think if Roaring Moon surviving that hit was really useful, but it's going to really come down to if the Fake Out here can be played right. We're going to see that Terra come out. This is the Terra you need to make. You need to go for that. Oh, what? Oh, okay, Roaring Moon, Terra Flying. I thought this was still 100% going to be the Iron Hands. That way you could survive the Palafin and hit from whatever, you know. If it's a Jet Punch, you would live it. But Fake Out on the Excalibur here. Acrobatics from Roaring Moon going to go before anything, so not a Jet Punch. And that Acrobatics is going to knock Excalibur to a very low health. Wave Crash going to go onto that Iron Hand. Does pick up that knockout. Okay, now I feel like Ryan Haig's still in a really good position. I totally thought that was going to be a throat chop onto the Excalibur, partnered with the Fake Out, but it would be a Terra Grass Iron Hand, so it would live. But now we see Gengar come into play. Now it's tough. Now it's tough. Yeah, I think that getting that Iron Hands down was just the wrong call there, because you have two priority moves. You have Ice Shard, which not the Roaring Moon is now super effective against still, and the Jet Punch, and that combo is not gonna be good. I mean, maybe you can get, because then at that point, you saw this Palafin in Mystic Water, right? So another Jet Punch will KO. The Ice Shard, yeah. Oh, that Roaring Moon, like I said, it was going to be a really good nuke, but it wouldn't have been enough in the long run at the end of the day there. I think that Terra that should have been the Iron Hands would have given a better chance, but now it is Gengar versus the world. And yeah, the Excalibur will get knocked out here, but it's not really going to matter because Pogo Jet Punch, it didn't get the Cursed Body, so... I mean, that's maybe what you were kind of banking on, was the Cursed Body, right? If you got that and then, of course, the rain stopped, which is fine, but, like, you still have Jet Punch if you're at 20. Not to mention Iron Hands is the other last Pokemon here, which it can go for, like, Thunder Punch, but... or Wild Charge, but that's... you can't really hit it. This game's going to Ryan Haig. Oh, I think, yeah, in that matchup, and the Sludge Bomb did around 50%, but the Wave Crash is going to finish it. Yeah, I think in that matchup, just getting the Iron Hands fainted pretty early on and terrestrializing Roaring Moon was really the kind of deciding factor there, you know? I think if Iron Hands had survived a bit, it may have had a chance to at least do a bit more damage. It was still impressive, but once again, it goes to show how threatening Excalibur is. Just Ice is such a good offensive type. I mean, we saw it right here when Ryan Haig hit in the first match. Knocked out the Roaring Moon, knocked out the Terra Grass Iron Hands, and maybe that's why the Terra was scared. The Iron Hands was scared of Terra because of the Excalibur, but I think Palafin was just a bit more scary. But yeah, I think just it shows you how good Terra Poison is. We've been seeing it on so many Pokemon in this format. Between Excalibur, I know especially in Series 1 we saw it on Garganacl. There's so many uses for it, and it just is really terrifying when you see it, because then if you don't have a ground move or if you don't have a psychic move, you are in trouble. Especially for Pokemon like Excalibur, which has so much offensive pressure but is hindered by its type. Being able to change its type to Poison just absolutely makes everything so much better for it, and it's able to really survive. But that's round 4. That also means Ryan Haig is going 3-1. Good chance of going into that top cut later today, which we will find out right after round 5. Ryan Tenorio still has a chance at 2-2, but we'll be back with the final round of Swiss in just a few moments, so stick around.